my name is Scott Thomas, and actually we have two residences. We have one down in St. George. We have a condo down there, and then we have a ranch out in Burl. In case you don't know where I'm talking, where it's due west of us, about 30 minutes. Okay, and why? Because it's pretty safe out there. One of the things that I did for the Department of Defense was I built a whole bunch of risk management tools. In fact, one of the things that I built, the Secret Service uses it today to manage the president's movement. Okay, that's what they use to plan his routes. Okay, so when I built this thing, I said, what's the safest place to live in the United States? And this is one of the places that came up. So that's why we moved to Burl. Okay, there's nothing to burn out there. It sits above its own aquifer, so we have our own water, we have our own well. It's not in an earthquake zone, so blah, blah, blah. So risk assessment, that's why we moved there. But my wife hates it. So we have a condo down in St. George, right? So that's where she is, most days of the week, and then weekends we go up to the ranch. So I go back and forth between the two, so we get the best of both worlds. And Cedar, I think Cedar really is the best of both worlds. So if you have any questions about me and my background, because the last thing I like talking about is myself. I'd much rather talk about my much better half. But trust me when I say I have a significant background. And I've had my roof taken off 4 times by hurricanes. If you saw the flooding in Missouri, I was just talking to my buddy Tom. This is Tom, by the way. And this is Josh. And we all work together at a place called wellprepared.com. Wellprepared.com is our website. Well Prepared here in town. We have a new store. It's across from IFA, and we would love to see you. And if you come in, a couple things that we can do for you. You come see me, I'll get you the biggest discount on stuff that I possibly can. That's one. 2 is I would love to sit down with you or your spouse or whoever you'd like and do a risk assessment for your family, okay? So this is where you are, this is where you want to go. And we'll do that at no cost, okay? What else did I want to tell you? So I'm doing this gratis. As what I mean by that is I'm working with Well Prepared for free, because we just talked to the city council a couple weeks ago. If you can lean on them, lean on the city, the council, we want to help Cedar City become the most prepared city in America. So if you can help us influence that, it will be greatly appreciated. So what does that mean? Well, that means where we want to get folks CERT trained. Hopefully, do we all know what CERT is? It's a FEMA-sponsored program. It's free. It's a FEMA, Federal Emergency Management Agency, sponsored program. And you go in and you'll learn basic first aid skills, learn several things. So we were talking, Cindy was just talking about an earthquake. So if you guys have watched the news, you've seen houses have been blown up because of propane leakage. Well, this is the wrench to turn it off. You smell gas, you go out and turn off your own propane, not waiting that 7 or 8 days, I exaggerate slightly, for the gas company to show up and turn it off, okay? So if, that FEMA, that CERT class will teach you a whole set of really good basic skills. And if it was up to me, every citizen in the United States would take the class. But it's a choice. So please avail yourselves of that. Again, FEMA, it's FEMA-sponsored training. There's no cost. It's the County Emergency Management. If you go to Iron County Emergency Management and go on their calendar, it'll tell you where it is and when it is. In fact, all of our employees are required to be CERT trained. So Tom's got a pretty good back. He's a retired Air Force officer, and we try not to hold that against him. Josh, if any one of us has a heart attack or has a problem, we're going to look to Josh to help us. He's an EMT. He teaches those medical skills too. So, we have a really good staff. So if you need something, please do come in and help us, because that's what we're about. The reason I'm doing this is because, again, I want Cedar City to be the safest, most prepared city in the United States for a lot of reasons. I mentioned the house coming off. So I had a house in Orlando, roof taken off twice, moved outside Orlando, lost the roof twice. Okay, I'm done in Florida. So if you were watching the news lately, the flooding down in Arkansas and Missouri, okay, One of the houses that I used to live in when I was assigned to Fort Leonard Wood, that house is gone. And my oldest child, my son, when we brought him home from the hospital, from Fort Leonard Wood Hospital, and went home, that's where his cradle was, and that house is gone. So to see that, it has some significant impact for me. And I've lived in California, and I've been through earthquakes, and I've been there, done that, got the T-shirt, okay? And I would much rather that we're prepared, and I'll talk about the difference between being prepared and it just being something we read about in the news, okay? So a couple things that we'll talk, this is the agenda that we're going to follow. The church, as we all know, right? The church, leadership in the church has always talked, and it's not just the church, the scriptures tell us the same thing, going back to the Old Testament, bad things happen, be prepared. So the folks that are prepared do much better than those who don't. And this slide presentation, too, by the way, if you want a copy of this for whatever reason, if you come in to see us, I'll give you a copy. Bring in a thumb drive or whatever you want. Or we're working on getting our homepage to where we've got a whole bunch of presentations that you can avail yourselves of. Okay, now who in here has heard my name before, Scott Thomas, in reference to to preparedness, besides Tom? Tom's sick of my high-pitched, whiny voice. You've heard, okay? Was it from the radio or what? Or yeah, and your husband
is John Romney.
John, vaguely, it sounds.
I think his office is just near yours, so he saw when it came up.
Okay. Well, the reason I ask is because we've done a couple of radio bits with Tim Nesmith, right? Talking about a variety of topics. And one of the things that I would like to talk about with him is North Korea, because I spent a couple of years over there. I got a background, and I can talk about North Korea and electromagnetic pulse, right? And so that's scaring some people right now. And the reason I'm telling you this is our staff are a great resource. So please come in, let us assess what your needs are, and let us help you. Whether you get products from us or not, that's great. But our goal is to help our community be more prepared for whatever event happens. Okay? All right. So the church has changed a little bit on its guidance in the last couple of years. I remember just a couple of years ago, the church said we should have a year's supply of food. And anybody have any idea, what percentage of Mormons did that? Would build up to a year's supply of food? About 10%, okay? And who's the worst at it, by the way? Utahns, okay? And because here in Utah, there's a lot of things that we take for granted. If you're a Mormon and you live in Alabama, okay, chances are you're a lot more prepared for an event than other folks, because we just assume, we live in Zion. Bad things aren't going to happen. We're here to help each other, okay? But so the church has reduced that. It's saying that, look, everybody has got to have a 3-month food supply. Start with that. Get that 72-hour kit, get to a month, get to 3 months, okay? Everybody should do that. So this is a baseline. So these are the things that the church is telling us to do, and hopefully you're prepared. You're well on your way to having those essentials. And so that's kind of what we have up here, kind of a range of different types of preparedness items. And let me just explain. I was just down in St. George yesterday at the Deseret bookstore, and looking at they've got a great display. Okay, that's one source, right? Long-term storage, we all know, Bishop Storehouse has got some, great stuff there, right? Everybody knows that, right? Yes? Do we have that? Do we have some of those things? Great. And then some portable things, some of the things that I like because they're portable. I have them in my 72-hour kit. That means I can just go with it and add water and eat it while I'm moving, eat it while I'm driving. So we have an approach, we call it good, better, best. It's, whether it's a good product, it's a better product because it does more than one thing, or it's the best in its category or type. So everything that we retail, we want to test and verify, that it's good stuff, or we're not going to retail it. All right. So the risk process. When I try to give an analogy about this, And I'm really glad the Relief Society invited me, and I'll tell you why, okay? My wife, who I invite to go with me to everything I go to, because I just love her companionship, but I said, honey, you want to go to a Relief Society meeting tonight? She says, what are they talking about? Preparedness. No. And she says, I didn't marry you so I could go to preparedness meetings, okay? She's doing something else, but so in my case, so it's my job, and she follows my advice when it comes to preparedness. And okay, I understand that. But the reason, what I like about Relief Society is you are what makes it happen in your home. Okay, guys will talk about, well, that's a good thing. I'll go get a fishing pole. Okay, and they might do pieces, but I'm telling you, it's Relief Society. It's the members of the Relief Society that do the planning and the budgeting, and the big picture. Okay, so. Thanks for coming, okay? And then just wanted to pass that on. Okay, so the risk process. You do this every day. You're in the car, you back out of the driveway. Before you back out, you look left, you look right. What are the risks? Is somebody going to hit me? Those kinds of things. So human beings do this naturally anyway. So as we just want to formalize this process a little bit. So as a part of formalizing this process, this thing over here on the bottom left, that's an example. There's a little chart to the military. And a lot of these slides you don't have because we'll go into a deep dive. And what you have, your hard copies, are a kind of a summary of tonight's class, okay? So this thing, all we're trying to show is, for any given event, is it high, medium, or low? In the military, what it means is if it's high risk, you've got to have a general officer sign off on it for that to happen, okay? And the general officer is going to say to the colonel, or whoever, okay, what have you done to reduce the risk? Okay, well, we made sure our guys got rested. Everybody's hydrated. The vehicles are maintained. We do all those things to reduce the risk as much as we can. Okay, so that's that process. Now, I suggest that you might want to develop something like that for your family, and here's why. So let's just say we have an earthquake. If we have an earthquake, of what magnitude? If it's 5.0, okay. If it's 6.0, well, 7.0, 7.5, 7.5, if you can, get out of here. But where are you going? How are you getting there? What are you taking? Can you communicate while you go? Are you both home when there's an earthquake? Or, are you at work and he's at work, or whatever that permutation is? You're in two different places. What about the kids? Who picks up the kids? Where are the kids? How do we get the kids? Okay, so that's why we have this chart. So think all those things through. So, and we'll talk about what some of the risks to Cedar City are specifically, so you can build some of these tools. And then, so that's the threat. How bad is it going to be, and what is the likelihood? Okay, and we'll talk about a little bit about likelihood of earthquakes here in a few. All right. So again, what is the risk process? Well, we only have a vulnerability if there's something that can exploit it. So in this case, I left the window open in the house. Okay, who leaves their doors unlocked? Be honest. Get your hand up. Come on. Don't do. Period. Yes. Don't do that. No, okay. I know it's nice, and you want to get the breeze and the fresh air. Okay, but what you should do is keep your doors and windows locked. Period. All the time. Your car in your driveway, it should be locked. Okay. Doesn't matter where you live. I know, we live here. And who would want to do a bad thing? But I'm telling you, it happens. And one of the reasons is St. George. Not to throw rocks at the city necessarily, but it's a drug pipeline, okay, that flows up from the border, up through, okay? St. George is a big drug center, okay? Haven't you seen it lately in the news, these record meth deals, right? State trooper pulls somebody over, takes 15 pounds, 20 pounds, 35 pounds of meth off this guy. We just had one of those this week. A month ago, we had a record. There's all kinds of bad things that happen. So be secure is my recommendation. One of the things that we have, and I haven't installed on my home, and you can't get through that door. You can go through the wall a lot. You will not get through the door. So we installed, these things are about $70. This is part of the kit. $70 for the whole set, about $70 for the whole set. And that door becomes essentially impervious, okay? It really makes that door tough even if you're a cop with a breaching tool, okay, you're not getting through the door, okay? So the door frame itself, what it does is, thanks, Vanna. So what it does is it goes into the frame, and we use 3 and 4-inch screws to go into the wood, because out of the box, the screws that are in a typical door are half-inch. Half-inch. Okay? You can cough hard. Okay? Okay. Who's got a teenager that broke a door? Come on. Go. Okay. My daughter, when she was 10, was mad, and we were out in the back. It was at the ranch with the chickens. She thought we weren't done. Anyway, she panicked, started kicking on the door, cracked the frame. Okay? 12-year-old or 10-year-old girl weighed 68 pounds at the time. Okay? So if a 68-pounder accidentally breaks the door. Anyway, so this, you can put all exterior doors you can upgrade with this too, by the way. Okay? Because of...
What if you wanted it just like so you have like one safe room in your house?
You can do that too, yes. But
Something, so we want one safe room.
sure, Cindy, that's a great question. So if you want a safe room, yes, you can do that. But typically inside a home, you have hollow core doors, and you're probably going to want to replace that door. What was that?
That's where we're all going to be, though.
In her safe room, or your own safe room? In the safe room with your kids. Okay.
Hiding from the kids.
Okay. All right. From the kids. All right.